I've been making Genshin videos on my channel for over 3 years now. I had a lot of fun with the game, but sadly it became very clear very early on that these developers didn't really know what they were doing. I think you can sum up Genshin's development team in one sentence. They're out of touch with the player base and unwilling to change. If you compare Genshin's development to other gacha games like Zenless Zone Zero or Star Rail, it's obvious that those teams from these games actually care about their players. These other teams from Hoyoverse are actually trying to make the player base happy. One thing that should be kind of the norm in a gacha game. Genshin never felt that way, and I really never understood why. This game made billions of dollars for the company, yet they never invested back into making the experience better for players, or giving them simply more generous rewards, or 5-star giveaways, or how about better quality of life updates. This could have made a huge difference with the experience for all the players. It's also pretty clear that this year Genshin Impact had its most controversial year yet. With Natlan, with the Natlan character designs, there was so much drama going on, especially with wuwa and her motorbike, and a lot of people would probably say that Natlan might be the worst region yet. Which is kind of a surprise because this one is the latest one. This should have been the peak of Genshin Impact, but it really left the player base kind of disappointed. A game that should have had so much more quality of life. Sadly, 4 years later, this game is still pretty lackluster. They have not improved on the story experience. Dialogues with NPCs are very boring to watch. NPCs have barely any animations, even characters have barely any expressions in their face, and also very often the dialogue in story quests feels very stretched out. It's like they're trying to farm players' playtime to add for their statistics or something, when literally we're just sitting there staring at long dialogues that are kind of wasting our time, and a lot of people would probably just like to skip that one. If you don't want to add a skip button, how about you make the experience better for the players? It often feels like the developers specialize in disappointing their own players. For example, they're adding better traveling mechanics in Natlan, because traveling in the game was very bad, actually very frustrating. But now you have characters that can wall run, a character can fly, or multiple ones. You also have a character for better water traveling. But yeah, these are all characters. Pretty much they are locking behind quality of life now on characters. Which is actually quite of a smart move business decision-wise. A lot of people are frustrated with the traveling. How about you just pull a character to make your experience better? How about you spend money to make your experience better? Very smart move. But this one comes with a huge backlash, because players are noticing these things. Even if it works for them and they make billions of dollars, you can clearly see that it kinda enrages the communities. And of course, what I didn't mention yet is that all these traveling mechanics are only good in Natlan, and in all the other zones they're pretty much useless. So they're adding like temporary solutions that only work in one region, and when we leave this region, we are going back to the problems that we had. Really weird way of developing a game. I really do wonder, if we go to the next region, are we gonna have to pull another quality of life character so we have a better experience? They're always adding things into the game that are solutions, but they always end up disappointing. For example, we have this new wish system that kinda saves you from getting the 5-star. If you're about to lose the 50, this mechanic jumps in, and it will basically give you the character on the limited banner. But players made the calculations. This barely changes anything. It's a very small percentage of change if you pull in the banner. They made it sound like such a big deal in the live stream, like it's gonna change everything. In reality, it's not. It's just a very clickbaity kind of thing, to kinda hype up the community, and in reality it's quite of a disappointing feature. They also added this new stat selector for artifacts. You can now choose the main stat and the substats. But this one also triggered the player base, because they actually make them so rare in the game. When we have a character cast of over 90 characters already, it's ridiculous. Or how about this one? They were giving out free pulls in the version 5.3, update where the Pyro Archon came out. Archon characters are always the most popular ones. But guess what? The free pulls that they were planning to give us were coming out after the Pyro Archon banner was over. Really weird decision. And another banger. They put Sidlali's banner, which is another new limited character, on the same face. So you had to pull now 2 characters at the same time. What a crazy move for a developer. That actually enraged so many people. They could have just put Sidlali or wuwa in different phases, but they chose not to do that. Especially because both of them are best in slot teammates, which is another freaking banger move. Good job, Hoyoverse. No matter how much backlash they get, they never chose to change. But they also continue making millions every month. They are sticking to the formula because it simply works financially. I think the Genshin Impact developers are such a good showcase how a game can end up very hated while also still making a bunch of money. And I also think that a lot of other gacha games are taking notice of Genshin's unhappy player base right now. For example, Nikki or Wuthering Waves. These games know that Genshin players are very frustrated and have been very badly treated by the game. So one move that a gacha game can do right now is just be generous, be nice to the players, listen to the feedback, implement ideas or issues that the players are complaining about, and fix them. Boom, the community loves you. There have been so many instances where players voiced their disappointment in Genshin, and nothing has changed. I even made a 23-minute video detailing all the issues that Genshin has. And honestly, that probably was only the tip of the iceberg. But it really feels like nothing is ever getting addressed, because they still make enough money, right? It's a shame, because I do want to say that the Genshin world and the IP are fantastic. The package itself looks great, but if you open it or look behind the scenes, you will realize that this game is very badly treated by their own developers. And I think other gacha games are definitely exposing the issues that Genshin has. If you start up Wuthering Waves and you realize that story sequences or dialogues can be better animated, the cameraman can actually move its cameras, the characters can actually move their bodies or have expressions in their faces, and all of that without putting like a black screen with white text in front of your face. I also think that one of the worst things in Genshin are the NPC designs. Sometimes they just change the outfit of an already existing NPC or change the hair color and call it a day. The saddest thing about this is that these NPCs are very often involved in the main quest, and that really hurts the immersion and the experience of the overall story. These NPCs just look very much worse than the existing playable characters, and it definitely throws the players off when playing the story. It is really weird because Zenless is using the same engine and the NPCs actually look great and they look quite unique as well. It's just some of these things that these developers do just seem very lazy, making the players realize that this game is not getting the love and passion from the developers that it actually deserves. So simple things such as, why do we lose stamina when we are not even in combat? Why am I getting punished for exploring the world? Shouldn't world exploration be rewarding and feel good? But no, it simply feels slow, restricted and punishing. There's so many other things that expose them on how lazy these developers are. They recycle combat animations from heavy attacks. Most of the Claymore users have the same spinning attack. Even 4 stars and 5 stars have the same one. A lot of the characters have very similar ultimate animations. Sometimes it feels like they're out of ideas for new characters. There's so many characters that share the same skill or ultimate with Keqing, Elhatham, Chiori, Chlorinde. I really do wonder why they cannot just make new animations for at least 5-star characters. Gives quite a sour taste for the players. And there are so many other things that Genshin could fix so easily that these games are doing right now. And it works. Wuthering Waves is one of the most successful gacha games now of all time. They are pretty much monetizing the frustrated Genshin players, just doing everything that Genshin didn't do, and just made it a much better game. The quality of life improvements they're adding in now in Genshin are years behind, because it's been 4 years, and we don't even have simple features like loadouts. I always wondered, why are they even doing surveys when player feedback is being ignored anyways? Where are those surveys going? They could easily make the game better for everyone, but they choose not to do that. Instead, they introduce temporary solutions or even implement new problems to the game so they can sell even more limited characters, ultimately leaving players feel frustrated and disappointed, because they have to probably spend money to enhance their experience. On top of that, they consistently fall behind with their other Hoyoverse titles in terms of innovation, player rewards, and quality of life features. It almost took Genshin 3 years to implement a new endgame mode, while their other games got new endgame basically with every update. Or do you guys know that Star Rail and Zenless actually gets a free 10 pull every update, and Genshin doesn't get that? I really do wonder why. So of course, Genshin feels like the bad child of Hoyoverse, receiving the worst treatment and the least improvements of all of their games. And if nothing changes, the future for players who actually care about the overall gameplay experience doesn't look too bright. As a content creator and a fan who once loved the Genshin brand, it's very sad to see the game treated this way. The only thing I hope for is that we get more and better games similar to Genshin. And honestly, gacha developers should just take notice of what Genshin has been doing wrong and just do these things right. And you can easily have a pretty good game. All the hate for Genshin right now is definitely justified, because this is what happens if a developer just doesn't treat their players good. It kinda turned into an unspoken rule that you give back to the players for playing your scummy gacha game. Because in the end, players are spending ridiculously amounts of money in these games. So it kinda should be normal from developers to give back to the players. Give them free 5-star characters, more rewards, and other stuff to enhance the experience, like adding quality of life that players have been asking for. That's pretty much it. I appreciate you all for watching this far. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, give a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.